We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
And that is Saints. And I will tell 2019 version of me, you doing the gag where every time you talk about San Ysidro's breakout freshman, you close the segment by saying, yeah, Jurian Dixon's a hell of a player. That was a good joke setup for 4 years later for this game alone, because this is basically, this is like a Mighty Ducks or any of the other Disney type youth movies where the one kid leaves the team and then you got to play him again in the championship. And Saints and San Ysidro just feels like if this was the championship, we'd all be like, dope, oh, great game. Hell yeah, we'll turn out for that. But we were blessed with it in the semifinals. The other one we're going to get is Montgomery and Carlsbad.
Yes.
So look, this to me, it's still, I am yet to see anything to say to me that Saints is not in the driver's seat here as a number one team, but this feels like a very loaded 1 through 4 that we not necessarily I don't remember us having a 1 through 4 quite as hypothetically wide open as this 1 through 4 is right now in recent open division years.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think it, like I mentioned, I wrote a story about previewing the open division on fulltimehoops.com. And one of the things I said was, this is either going to be the most intriguing open division we've had in recent years, or it's going to be the most straightforward march to a championship we've seen. I don't think there's any in between. I think Saints either gets the job done tonight and then gets the job done in the championship, or one of these teams that we're not really talking about is going to pull probably one of the greatest upsets of all time. My money is on chalk right now. I think that Saints will get it done against San Ysidro. One interesting thing to talk about is I believe that game is already sold out. Yeah, they opened up the online portals and they all sold out within an hour of being open, which is
to buy Tommy's media credential.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most anticipated matchup in San Diego that we've had since that Torrey Pines Cathedral Catholic game back in 2021, even though I will argue that I think a lot of people wanted to see Torrey Pines and San Marcos make it undefeated and make it to that open championship. It didn't happen, but that consolation prize was still, a juggernaut of a matchup that everyone wanted to see. I think this one people have had penciled in as the game of the year for quite some time. I think if you're on social media, the Ysidro kind of dominates the airwaves. Tucker's, big on Twitter, always posting about, his guys kind of, he likes to play that role of, being the underdog, even though they have more talent on paper than most. And I also think that silence that you normally get from Saints is because, that's their program culture. They just kind of go out and do, what they need to do. I think that this year they have been unique in San Diego. They have been able to really absorb, early blows from teams. I mean, Mater Dei Catholic was ahead at the end of the first quarter. That open division quarterfinal were pretty close by halftime. And then in that third quarter, they just know how to make adjustments. They go on these huge runs. That goes from being a 4-point halftime game to a 26-point blowout. And I think that coaching adjustment, the defense that they play in the third quarter is going to be the difference here too. I think San Ysidro might even lead this game at halftime, but I think that ultimately Saints will make that adjustment at half and kind of run away with it late and probably win by 9 to 10 points in a game that will be satisfying. It'll have the highlights. It'll have the Jurian Dixon dunks. It'll have the Mikey Williams highlights, the JJ Taylor dunks, Lolo Rudolph blowing by a guy and just making him look like he's stuck in like 50s basketball. Jada Matingu catching a lob. It's gonna be one of those games that we'll talk about for a long time, but I think the Saints gets it done.
Okay.
And then
other game we got Montgomery and Carlsbad.
Now, I wouldn't even call that the other game. I would say that's also a really damn good game and a very underrated collection of players. I mean, Jake Hall, is, like you mentioned, he's become a dude.
Yeah, he's him. He's a dude now.
He's a dude. 27 points per game as a sophomore. He's on pace to either, be in the mix for the all-time CIF scoring champ. If he stays at this pace, it's incredible to think about that because, Troy Leaf's numbers were out of this world. I think that Tony Duckett has become, an all CIF caliber talent. I think that JJ Sanchez is an all CIF first teamer this year. And I believe that the sophomore group that they have is incredible. This game will be dictated by which team can establish their pace the quickest. If Carlsbad can get this game going up and down and make it attract me, I don't know if Montgomery can really hang on because Montgomery likes to play at a very deliberate pace. They like to slow things down. They like to throw it into the post to JJ Sanchez and let him just, pick teams apart. And I love that, they have such trust in a guy who has an insane basketball IQ. But my money is on Carlsbad being able to speed this thing up and to get a win. I think it's going to be close. I think this is a game that will, again, be decided by like 6 points or less, but I'm going to pick Carlsbad.
I'm going to go with Montgomery in this one. You had just kind of singled out one detail to me of you really felt like SFC had Montgomery's number, that they had just played him recently, that they had it dialed in, and Montgomery pulled it out. And to me, that's sort of the ethereal, intangibles, toughness, mental fortitude in the playoffs type of thing that I bank on a lot when it comes to basically a coin toss of a game. And in this coin toss of a game, I would like to also point out that we started our D5 podcast by saying the class of 26, holy hell, man, they balling out this year. There's a lot of class of 25 and 24 in this game. Like, this is not a ton of seniors leaving, departing after this game. We're gonna maybe potentially like see this as a multi-year carried out thing between Carlsbad and Montgomery in the open division in the playoffs.
I would agree.
Yeah, no, it's.
I would agree. I will say this though. I think one of the reasons why I give Carlsbad the edge is Montgomery was able to. I thought Montgomery did a good job of just controlling home court, against Santa Fe. I felt that was going to be a bad matchup for Santa Fe, going down to Montgomery, having to play in a very hostile environment. It's loud. It gets crowded. The rims are not like shooter friendly. And I believe that, while Bryce McKenzie had 31, I believe his supporting cast really struggled in that environment until the fourth quarter. Now they've got to go up to Carlsbad and play. And,
that's a hostile environment. That is a shout out to the Carlsbad loud crowd. They know how to turn that into a pretty ruckus place at a home game.
And they're not playing in the they're not playing in the big gym, right? They're still playing in the Aux gym because the big gym had the court issues this year. And that's even harder to play in that Cracker Jack box. I mean, that place gets loud. They're on top of you. It is a unique environment that will definitely test it'll test the maturity of that sophomore group at Montgomery.
It almost feels kind of like they're playing the game at Crawford or Kearney or one of those real traditional old, like, holy hell, like you said, that crowd is right on top of us.
Yes.
But yeah, no, stoked. Aaron, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you,
yes,
everybody, for watching. You can follow him at Fulltime Hoops 1. He does a fantastic job. Make sure you go back and check out his IG live show from last night because he did 10 times the amount of quality content that he just did for us, but he's always so very gracious. So please go follow him and support everything that he's doing. He's got a great event coming out with Michael Flicks this off season, if you will, but we'll talk about that in several podcasts because we still have a finals round to get to. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone else, thank you for tuning in. California Army National Guard, thank you for sponsoring us. Corporate, if you actually listened to any of all of these episodes, thank you for that. I doubt any of you did, but as always, we will say goodbye.